Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, time for another Metal Earth kit build. Another one of the Disney exclusives. I have Cinderella's Castle with me today, and I'm thinking this is going to be similarly difficult to the Sleeping Beauty Castle with all of its points, except these points seem to be taller and maybe more of them. So this is going to be challenging, I think, but I won't know until I open it up and see what's inside. Cinderella's Castle. This is thick and heavy, so I'm guessing 2 sheets. Make sure the instructions are down. 2 sheets of instructions and 2 sheets of metal. Let's see. And there are, oh my, there are 3 metal sheets. So that helps to explain why it was so heavy. This particular kit has 3. I did not know that. We'll set these to the side. Open up. We have 2 sheets. Open up the first sheet to page 1. And on the front, on page 1, we start off with the usual Metal Earth 3D model kit, line drawing of the kit, a bit about insertion tabs, insertion holes, fold lines, about needle nose pliers being helpful for assembly. We have the, what I used to call the legend, the blue circle means to bend tabs over 90 degrees. The green triangle means to twist them. And a little bit about pulling as you twist to make the connections more secure. And what they are now adding is the legend where you see an E pointing at something. It's telling you that's the engraved side. Any points at the non-engraved side, and the intention point could be a number of things, like this goes in this tab, pay attention to which way this faced. Sometimes it comes with words to help you understand why it's important, sometimes it doesn't. And then all the way at the bottom we have one of the sheets. Which one do we have? This is one sheet and the part numbers. So you can find the parts on the sheet and put it together. We have a lot of parts that are shaded in with a particular color. Whenever you see a light color, like these blue, these purple, those are identical parts. One may be numbered and the rest maybe not, but it allows you to find them easily. If we slide over to page 2, we have the other 2 sheets. Let's take a moment here. We have the other 2 sheets, their layout and numbers, so we can find the parts on there. And then below that, we start with the assembly flowchart, starting with 1, part 2, part 3, put things together, curve them, whatever needs to be done. Follow the arrows. You've got a little sub-assembly, shows you how to fold it, bring it down there, so on and so forth. Once you get to the end, flip it over. Got page 3 on the back. Follow the arrows, put it together, and then page 4, slide over for that. Once you get to the bottom, of course, open up the other sheet, and on the inside, page 5, page 6, flip it over, page 7, page 8, just follow through, and at the bottom, you have your completed kit. Let's talk tools. I have a pretty standard set of tools that I use in most every build. I have needle nose pliers, I have flat nose pliers, I have flush clippers. These are a must for me. They clip parts off the sheets quickly and cleanly. I have a set of precision tweezers, one with a very pointed end, one with the pointed end ground down slightly, and flat set with a sort of curved tip, useful for twisting tabs in slightly curved areas. I also have a pretty standard set of tweezers with a flat angled end. These come in one of the Iconics kits, and I use them a lot. When it comes to shaping rounded parts, there are many options. I used dowel rods for a long time. I sharpened the ends of 2 of them with a pencil sharpener. These 2 are great for making cone shapes. Another option is a cheap drill bit set. This set has quite a few different sizes to choose from. Another option is a set of step mandrels. Some sort of hook and pick set can be handy. I like this very small dental style pick. Sometimes you have to pull things out of areas too small for fingers. These Kelly clamps, or hemostats, I've heard them called several names, can be used to hold on to small parts while guiding them into place. they lock, so they won't let go. I do not use them much because they have teeth and you can scratch the part, but sometimes my hands are just too small. Curved needle nose pliers to me are very useful for bending over longer, thin areas that have obstructions that keep regular needle nose pliers from getting to them and being helpful. They can also be handy in tight places. We've looked over the instructions, we have our sheets, we've got some tools together. Let's get started. I used a sharpened dowel rod to help shape the spires. Be sure the engraved side is facing away from the spire. You have to pinch the twisted tabs inward or just bend them instead of twist to make room for the next part. I twisted one of the tabs lightly to hold the side in place while I lined up everything else. I came back later, untwisted it, and folded over. In places like this, where you have two similar sized parts connecting with something in between, the first one to connect generally connects on the inner slots. I got ahead of myself and should not have folded the sides up yet. Instead of trying to twist these two tabs, I just used the pointed tweezers, drove them down between the tabs, folding them outward, then pushed them down secure. The thin metal at the top near the point does take a little extra encouragement to fold over. That is why I am pinching at it carefully, convincing it to bend. Part 32 and 33 go on at odd angles. At first I thought I was doing something wrong, but it made more sense later. With angled parts like this, it helps to bend the tabs so they both point towards the next connection. That way, they will more easily line up with their slots. I had trouble getting all 4 tabs in place without a previous tab slipping out of place, so I decided to lightly secure a tab to hold that side down while lining up the others. I compared the sides and carefully bent the angles as I went. I am holding the thin part of the metal with the pliers to keep from warping it as I bend the side over.
I bent the tabs on the side in opposite directions so that the part could not easily swing to one side and come loose. I put part 49 on the wrong way, not trusting the directions and thinking it would look better to be able to see the brick through the doorway. I decided to check the online view, something I should have done before attaching the part, and saw that the top area is visible from the inside of the assembled model, from the back, so I turned it around. And now the repetitive work begins. Lots of same or similar towers. It was at this point that I figured out that I should have folded the tops of the side pieces first, then pushed them into place. Later, I realized I should have attached the top and bottoms together before folding up the sides. I got a little ahead of myself. I had to pry open some of the side pieces to be able to access and twist the tabs holding the tower. Fortunately, I have some very small tipped tweezers. This video has been edited down. I've not shown all the different attempts, adjustments, or retries of this build. I also clip out parts where I am studying directions, searching for and clipping parts, and sometimes repetitive steps. It may make this kit look like it comes together easier than it did, but there are a lot of bending and adjusting of parts to make things fit. Work slowly, be patient, and take your time. Now it is time to start joining some of the larger sections together. Challenging part of this build. One tab in particular gave me lots of trouble. I twisted a couple of tabs on the bottom to hold things in place, but came back later, as before, untwisted and bent them over. All put together. Now it's time to go around and try to straighten out all the little crooked parts.
I give you Cinderella's castle. Of course, very nice looking. It is a lot of detail to it. It took quite a bit of time. I like the spires on the very top of the towers. Most of them, pretty much all of them, were not that difficult to shape. It's not like Sleeping Beauty Castle where they were just a very difficult thing to get quite right. These have fold lines, so they just wrap around the tip of a pencil or something that's been sharpened with a pencil sharpener. That's the way I have the dowel rods that I use a pencil sharpener on, and those work wonderfully. So it was a lot of time doing all the different ones, but they weren't hard to do. Now, this build took about 4 hours to complete. I did a lot of double checking. There was one point where I had to go back and change something, but for the most part, it came together without any big issues. It just took a lot of time. As is often the case when you end up towards the end or at the end of a build and you have 2 or 3 large assemblies to come together, this one was a pain in the butt. There's only like 3 tabs holding this whole top section onto the bottom, but getting them all aligned with little to no room to maneuver and work with, it took a while. If this were one of my first builds, I would be extremely frustrated and ready to throw it down, but I've done this long enough now. Just keep pushing ahead. I rather enjoy some of the detail if you look inside the front gate and inside the back gates or doors. You can see a little bit of detail on the inside. The little steps are kind of adorable. Pain in the butt to put together, but they look really neat. So I'm going to leave it at that. I have the Haunted Mansion that I want to start work on fairly soon. I've got so many to build, so many different models. But if you have any questions or comments, as always, feel free to leave them down below. Thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.